The time to be alive, but in my mind I know time is the rarest commodity.
Hey, turn your headphones up, turn your speakers up. You already know what we got going on. Turn to another episode of Two Pimp in the Industry. Coming from live, Davidson, North Carolina. I'm Harrison Hill, aka DJ Drill Hill.
I'm Ryan Woods, aka DJ Wood.
I'm Nabil Saad, aka DJ Saad Off Shotty.
And this is Min Hella, aka DJ Hero.
And you already know we're talking about the latest and the greatest heat in the streets. But today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest.
How y'all doing? My name is Bradford, aka Legacy.
Yes, sir.
All right. So DJ, what we got going on today?
Well, today we got the special guest here. He's an aspiring artist here from Davidson College. We're just gonna, sit him down, talk about a few music industry topics, and just see where his mind is at. Just for a short intro, Bradford just released his first solo mixtape, Legacy of Polo Don. He's from Lilburn, Georgia. And tell about yourself a little bit, please.
What's up, y'all? As I said before, my name is Bradford Grant. I'm a junior here at Davidson College, Hispanic Studies major, neuroscience minor. And I've been doing music most of my life. It's been part of me since growing up. And the rapping kind of started late in high school, just playing around with it. But it didn't start until really coming to here when I met Lawrence King and Victor Leaks until we started our rap group. So here we are now.
I bet. And we got a few questions lined up for you, and I guess we should start shooting them off. I'll start off, and then who inspires you most as an artist? This could be a music influence, or this could be something personal, but it's just who inspires you most as an artist?
I think for my style, because I incorporate a lot of different sounds to my production, because I also make beats. I would feel a lot of jazz artists, Ahmad Jamal. He's a jazz pianist. A lot of what he does, in terms of just the color in his sound is what I do with my music. So I love creative beats that are never constant or never one way the entire time, adding switch ups to it, and that incorporates to my rapping style. I love changing up flows and things like that. But in terms of rapping and what artists inspires me the most in that way, I would say Drake, just because he's so versatile and his range of styles. But definitely K-Dot, of course, just lyricism, overall J. Cole. I have a wide range of influences, but for the most part, I would say I grew up on a lot of Drake, and that's where things started.
So, as a Drake fan, just kind of question off the top of my head, what have you seen as he's changed, throughout his career, and how do you view those changes as an artist yourself?
So for I think one of his most defining projects was Take Care. For me, that was a game changer, I believe, just because rap had never had that mixture of that emotional soul as well as storytelling in terms of not really being up in the streets, but going through issues with women and things like that. Just trying to find yourself, and that's something that I can relate to. I'm not from the hood, so I'm not gonna rep that, but growing up suburban, kind of I have my own separate issues that I deal with. Didn't always have money for certain things, so I can relate to that aspect of starting from an area where I feel I could grow. And I feel with his music, definitely after Take Care, and then towards now more vibes, he's going toward more Caribbean vibe, which is cool for me to hear because my dad's from Jamaica, so a lot of that reggae music has a large influence on my taste. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to incorporate that as much into my music yet, but I'm trying to find the right time where I can do that and the right style, so I'm gonna do it right.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's what makes Drake. I mean, some people call him a culture vulture, but I think what makes Drake so popular is the fact that he's very vulnerable when he writes his music. He's very transparent, and the fact that he makes everything very relatable to his target audience in a way. So I was listening to a song the other day, and he was with YG, and there was Why You Always Hating. I think that's the song he got with YG, and then he threw in a few words that is very specific to the Bay Area culture, slaps and stuff like that. And I think he does that very often. It's if he's with an artist from a specific region or from a point in the country, he'll find a way to relate to that area. I think he does.
Yeah, on that note, he kind of referenced Steph Curry in that verse too. He was
exactly.
What's the line? It's running up the numbers like Aisha. Yeah. So so that's definitely, he's definitely dominating the game too. So it's you obviously you start talking about rap music, you gotta talk about Drake.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that's cool, that you vibe with his music like that and you use it as an influence.
So, I mean, another question we have for you is, where do you feel you see the most growth in yourself? I mean, as far as where have you grown over the few years, or just like where do you see yourself growing to?
Well, I know that my focus on like what makes me an individual artist is something that I've like grown into, because starting off in like being in a rap group, like I feel like we get caught up in the collective of it, and I think something that which is the reason why we had solo projects, was like trying to find what makes us uniquely different and what do we bring to the group. So I think my biggest like area of growth, which is finding my own sound, and that was a lot about what this project was about. Like, this is the legacy pulled on. Like, everything that I'm about, my different styles and like, arrangements, I try to hone in on that over the summer and craft like each song individually, and just kind of like each one featuring a different style of like what I feel like is who I am as an artist. And like from here on out, I mean, the only growth I can really see now is just like making shit official. I mean, just like getting our label off the ground like officially, and like our brand out there. So like more business side things.
Definitely. So like, I know like, what would you say your opinion is like on the relationship between like you were just talking about like labels, artists, and like competition for like their work? Like, do you feel like, I'll just leave it at that. What do you think like your opinion is in the relationship between like, I would say labels, artists, and like the competition for like getting their work?
Yeah, I feel like the labels, the relationship between the labels and artists is very like, there's a paint window, I feel like, in between, a one-way window where only like the labels can like see the full picture,
right.
Whereas the artists are kind of like, okay, I'm getting this money, like take care of family, like simple things, like that was the end, that was the main goal of it all. But I feel like the relationship is very one-sided, and that's one thing, like transparency is really important to me. So if I were to ever like, pursue starting my own label, which is like, I think what we're trying to do at some point, I would want to make that relationship very like two-way street. And then like, I guess the freedom in like music, of course, like in the music industry, like you're gonna want to push more music that's obviously like on the radios and like top of charts, the whole point. But like, I think there needs to be more emphasis on the individual and the actual like, what do you want to do with your music, and what was your initial like goal coming into it. I think that gets lost in the whole like hustle and bustle. And I think like I specifically want to cite K-Dot's Him Butterfly. Like that was primarily like his purpose for making that album, just to show like the industry's like out here like really trying to like pimp brothers out here that are trying to like make music for themselves and like do something big, and like just kind of like putting it in a bottle just to like merchandise it and ship it out like a product.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that in terms of the stepping away from the traditional labels, because we've also seen now a lot of new rap artists that have come out. They kind of do the independent thing, or they sign with other artists. So, and that's also been a big change that's come with the streaming services. I know you got your album on SoundCloud, so like you definitely taking advantages of those. So how do you feel about how the streaming services have kind of given the artists more control over their music as of late?
SoundCloud is definitely a big shout out to SoundCloud. Like they've given a lot of people like me just like a platform to be able to like share their music, and that's something that like really wasn't present like 20 years ago. But with like artists like Lil B and like Chief Keef and like Soulja Boy, that started to like, I guess the internet wave of like artists. That's where I feel like that like had to go at some point. So definitely like sites like SoundCloud and there are a whole bunch of the sites that like allow artists to like really freely push their music out there, and then at that point it's in the people's hands, and like less of like the A&R type like focus group things, but it's more like freelance.
If there was no SoundCloud, or there was no, I guess, social media in a way, how would you see yourself trying to push your music? Just making a whole lot of mixtapes and trying to get them out to somebody, or what outlets would you try to use?
That's tough because like that's all we know. But like I guess if I was really serious about that at that time before SoundCloud existed, I mean, I guess I would have the means to like make CDs, because I guess those would be more available just because it was the time for that. But yeah, definitely trying to get those CDs going, but also like the issue of like publishing rights comes into play when you do that, because like anyone can take that and make their own. We saw that with like hip hop already started with like DJing and like people like cutting mixes from other artists and playing it at parties without like consent permission. So that's been an issue from the beginning.
So is this like era of hustle your music out kind of over? Like you can click upload to SoundCloud and you know have the exposure to millions and thousands of people. So how do you feel about like the change from being like having a hustle to make it as an artist to, you know, like now you have the potential to reach a massive audience?
I would say the hustle in terms of like getting to your end goal of like maybe getting discovered is it's in some way it could be like diminished, but like I feel like the overall like steps you take to get to where you need to be like stylistically and like quality wise is all the same.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's like if you are like a solidified sound and like you have a good flow, like you have a good message, like the beats are hot, like no matter if you're like hustling trying to like get things sold and stuff like that, it's gonna get hurt at some point. So I feel like the hustle is more within like the work behind the scenes and less of like the upfront like giving people. So just pressing the button is kind of like a little shorter route help you out there, but like it doesn't cut away from like the hard work that like, I know I put in, like other artists put in for sure.
You know, and there's another thing to mention is like with these streaming services, they're also available to everybody else, so it's maybe a bigger pool. So you really got to establish yourself. And, you know, that's something we kind of talked about either an episode or two ago. You know, where you're saying you have to establish your own sound and kind of your audience grows like as you establish yourself.
Right.
You know, so I'm wondering what like type of things are you trying to do to establish yourself in such a big, you know, streaming service?
Definitely, you know, just having our music in more than one place for sure. It's like location-wise, like that plays an important role. But in terms of like style, I mean, specifically, the reason why like I cited like Drake because I do kind of have a vocal aspect to my music, and I just think that you know whatever I naturally feel inclined to do with my music, I feel like that's something that is very individual to me. And it's, you know, it's evident because like when I started rapping with Bradford, like we all had different styles, like just off the jump, and that's just something that we noticed and like recognized. But they were still very raw, and now I feel like they're more refined. And like with time and age, like that gets more and more refined. But I do see like a lot of artists like pretty much sounding exactly the same as like other artists that are on SoundCloud as well. Like just one artist, like I don't know, but I like him, Sabe. Like that sounds just like I thought he jumped up for a minute, like it's exact same. Yeah, the very same, like very similar inflection in his voice. I mean, he's from Atlanta, so like of course they're gonna be influenced by your environment. So I mean, I'm not associated with him, but just kind of like just cite an example of like what people might say, and they're like, oh, he sounds like this, sounds like that. But like, you know, of course you get comparisons from other artists, and that's like no shots down. But like, I just feel like specifically people have told me like just my production sound, like a lot of my like influences are very like isolated from a lot of other things. Cause I didn't really get into hip hop and rap until like high school. Like that's just because like my parents didn't like they're from a different generation. Like a lot of our music was more like Al Green, like 60s, 70s, and like my dad's from England. So like I didn't really have that foundation of like hip hop until later in life. So I had exposure to a lot of other things that influenced how I like make beats and like how I rap. So that's what makes my thing unique. So hopefully that sticks out.
So just some final question or two. You being a very like lyrical artist, like so, how do you feel about the mumble rappers and the Gucci Gang, like Lil Pump, and you know, artists like them?
I definitely see like why it's like working, obviously, because like that's what's like in right now. So like they're just trying to run the bag. I feel that. But at the same time, you gotta like understand like you know people take your word for like you know full weight sometimes. But a lot of kids growing up. So like I'm very conscious of that, and like at the same time, I don't let that like fully censor me because you know I am an artist. So like if I feel like I need to say a certain word in the song that fits for how I'm feeling, I'm gonna use it. And that's something that we didn't really do our first time around. Our first day, if you go back to our old stuff, like everything's like it's like peachy clean, like there's no cursing at all. Like it almost sounds really corny, and that's something that I like struggled with for a long time. And then we all talked about collectively, and then we got to a point where it's like. We feel like we need to use a curse word to like describe like how we're feeling or like to evoke that emotion across like the airways, like we're gonna use it. And then also just like the whole point of my mixtape, like telling my story, like I'm not gonna like change it up just to make it seem like the whole point is to show my humanness and show like what I felt short, you know what I'm saying? So like that is part of the language, is part of that experience. So I feel like with mumble rap, like it definitely has a place and like of course I turn it up like becoming a good time. But I definitely think there's a time and place for everything. So like I listen to that when I'm trying to study, and like if I want to like like there are artists that have that sound, and that I think they know that too. And something that I learned like Future like doesn't like do me no more, but he sort of raps about it because he knows it's marketable. And maybe he did at some point in time, but like of course like the nice businessman, so like conscious of that. So I think a lot of artists know that, and how they act doesn't necessarily reflect what they talk about in music. It's just something that was either at one point a part of their life, or like they know it's gonna sell, and you try to make money. So
That's enough talking. Let's get this man a beat. DJ Hero.
That was a fire beat for you.
Oh,
Let me go in.
turn it down so we can hear. Turn his headphones up a little bit.
Tryna get my paper, I ain't down later. I'ma see you in a little bit if I really fuck with you haters, but I know I got it going. They trust in my flow, going off for a minute. I got the paper, watch my gold. I'ma keep it on for a little minute. Don't mess with the vision. You see it right here with two eyes, I know you ain't here listening. When the boys be in the interview, I'm going there and you the shit. Figuring out you know you lose. They coming out dropping the blue, I know everything good for a minute. Yeah, I'm trying to get the feeling. Been done with some bad things. Some cooking. I'm trying to make it up here, trying to make it up here. Trying to get up the stars, man, I feel a little fear. But I'm scared for a purpose. I ain't know, but I'm worth it. Everything that I did so far, man, it's got me here certain. Now I'm trying to keep it going. Everything just flowing like ice in my water. Man, this cup's so cold, man. I'll let you post, man. Gotta make it going now. Everybody calling for me, man. I'm about to have every time to go. Everything going like this, man. Going rap for the moon rap. I got a few little boys. You don't want none of that, man. Me and the kids doing it. And they see me just moving it. Everything we do is big, man. We never losing it. Top game, never losing. I'ma keep going shooting. You know I gotta do my things. Step forward and shooting. Hold up, do it one more time. Got my shine. Doing my grind, never get lined. Hey, watching my shine. Hey, I'm going hard and taking my time. And I'm never some blind way. We do my bars and getting our hard. And she coming up now with everything I did for darkness. Man, you never see me lurking. Everything hot, man. I got the furnace and you know that we burning. Wait, hold up. Man, you know that we burning. Hold up. Man, you know that we burning. It's time.
Let's get it. Great, bro. Yeah.
So this is the last episode?
Yeah. So that basically wraps us up today, man. I appreciate you coming through and sharing some knowledge with us and kicking the freestyle. So yeah, just sign us off for us, man.
Also, everybody go check out that Legacy of Polo Dawn on SoundCloud.
Yes, sir.
Go check out my man Legacy. You know he's coming with the heat. Appreciate it, Bradford.
No problem, brothers. Thank you, bros.
All right.